1078.
All right, we are on record for the initial disposition of both parents in this file. May I have the names of our participants, please, beginning with our guardian ad litem.
Lee Heiss, lawyer guardian ad litem.
Ms. Tasha Thomas, counsel for the department.
Brandy Del Garza from Fostering Solutions.
Michael McFarland, representing father. Please introduce yourself.
Dakota Hamlin, father.
Good morning, Your Honor. Ariel Berger here on behalf of Mother Caitlin Estes. Caitlin, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Caitlin Estes, mother.
Welcome. Ms. Heiss.
Oh my, I got to see this beautiful child. He really is beautiful. He was less than a week old when I got to see him, and like his other siblings, really beautiful. Although unlike Gideon, he has light hair. Gideon, I think, had really dark hair, if I remember right. Anyway, this child is in a licensed foster home where all of his needs are met by family, extended family. There are adopted children in this home. So I would ask you to consider that one issue is this, the child, so there's this communication about how much the child has eaten while he's been at visits. And it's come to my attention that mother is nursing the baby during visits, and normally we all know that that's very nutritious for the child and promotes immunity. And but in this case, I would ask you to consider, Your Honor, that nursing isn't a good idea, because either the child is nursing from the breast and we can't tell how much is given, and we can't tell instantly if there is THC, which is a longstanding issue for this family, in the breast milk. And if mother brings the milk in a bottle, likewise, I don't know the transporting, the preserving, the date on it, that kind of thing. I think it's just better. The baby's only visiting mom and dad several times a week for a short period of hours. And I would ask you to consider having him just on the formula, so that he's a really good baby, they tell me. And but I think that would prevent any further access to THC. But his needs are being met in the current placement, and I recommend that we enter into this case service plan with the family, knowing that it's a very short period of time for improvement. Thank you.
Testimony today.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Della Garza can be sworn in, please.
Come on up to our witness stand, Ms. Del Garza.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Brandy, you have prepared a court report for today's hearing, correct?
Yes.
And are there any updates or modifications that need to be made to it, to the best of your knowledge?
No.
Okay. And generally speaking, there's just the brief summary of the case in the court report, and then the attached case service plans.
Yes.
Did you have an opportunity to meet with the parents to create this case service plan with their input?
I did meet with them during or before and after their first parenting time. And I had emailed them the case service plan before that, and asked them if they had any questions or anything like that. And they did both agree and sign.
And currently, what is the goal for the child, the permanency goal?
Reunification.
And what are the barriers to reunification?
Just the same barriers that led to his removal, which were a long history of domestic violence between the two parents, substance abuse concerns, and housing, and also just the removal and termination of other children.
And do you believe that the case service plan as proposed today sufficiently addresses those barriers to reunification?
Yes, I do.
And I know it's only been like 10 days since adjudication, but in that short period of time, have the parents done anything voluntarily to address those barriers to reunification?
Yes, both of them actually have been very cooperative so far. They both signed releases of information with the services that they do have currently. And then services that were also on their case service plan, they've already signed those, just so that we were able to do the referrals. And they have both participated in parenting times that we've had scheduled. And then mom attended a doctor's appointment this morning for Jasper, and she was the only one invited just because of the domestic violence history, and dad is invited to the next appointment that's in October. And I'll be sending both of them the aftercare summary today of that as well, just so that they have it. And mom, before her first parenting time, offered to screen, but we haven't got those results back yet.
Thank you so much for that. And currently, the parenting time looks like it's twice supervised per week and at 1 hour in length for each visit.
Correct.
And is there a plan, or have you discussed with the parents a way to, what would need, oh my goodness, what would need to be seen in order to expand that parenting time?
I haven't really had conversations with them yet, but just what is on the case service plan.
Is there anything else that you'd like to highlight for the court's attention for today's hearing?
Nope, just that the baby's doing really well. At the doctor appointment today, she did say that he's gained weight, which he should be doing. She said he should have gained around 9 ounces or so, and he gained 11. So they said that he's looking really well and doing well. So
You heard Ms. Heist's concern about either the nursing or the breast milk for the child.
yes.
Do you share those same concerns, or do you have anything to add to that?
I haven't seen her breastfeed. She does bring in bottles that she gives to dad to feed to the baby during his parenting time, which is right after hers. And I did share with mom before court today that I had that same concern, just because the baby did test positive for THC at birth. So I do have those same concerns as well, but mom did say that she would be willing to go to LBC today to screen.
Wonderful. Thank you for that update. With that, Your Honor, I do, just because you have ICWA in here.
Yes,
Did you receive any of the green cards back?
I have not. No.
Okay, and do you know, I know that it's was completed by DHS. Have they indicated whether they have or not?
Not yet, no.
Okay, thank you. With that, Your Honor, I have no further questions of this witness, and move to admit the court report with its attachments.
No objections.
No objection.
No objection.
Thank you there. Received cross-examination, Ms. Berger?
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Okay, perfect. You had stated that the baby is gaining weight. Is that right?
yes.
And were there any concerns expressed at the doctor's visit about mom being able to breastfeed?
Not at the doctor's visit, but I did call her afterwards, just because I had seen the report that he tested positive for THC, and the pediatrician did state that that if she was using any form of THC, that she should not be breastfeeding, which is why I asked her to go screen today.
Okay. And when did the baby testify? I'm sorry. When did the baby test positive?
Those were the hospital records from his birth.
Okay. And do we have any indication that she is currently using THC?
No, she did report to me that she was using while she was pregnant, but she said that she is not currently using.
Okay. And are there, if you're aware, any like strips or any instant tests that we can do on the breast milk to make sure that it would be safe for the baby?
Not that I'm aware of, but that is something I can look into.
Okay. I know there's alcohol ones, but I don't know if there's THC ones. And about housing, has mom given you any updates about her housing?
Not about housing, no.
Okay. What updates has she been able to give you?
She did send me a letter from her doctor stating that she should not go back to work until her 6 weeks is up, which is October 8th, I believe is said on that letter.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that she on Friday went to ACPC to have her first appointment there, and that they had changed her medications, but I have not been able to verify that yet, as she just told me this morning.
Okay. And do you know if she's been able to secure a pediatric father?
I do not know that.
Okay. And did she sign the plan?
Did she sign what? I'm sorry, it cut out.
Did she sign the case service plan?
Yes, she did.
Perfect. Okay, I have another question. Thank you.
Mr. Brown?
What's your position on mother not giving the child breast milk until we can verify the milk contains no THC? What's your position on that?
I would like that it be tested just because of what the pediatrician recommended.
You test mother also prior to the hearing or at the visit, I should say?
We haven't, but that is something that, I mean, she would have to go to LDC because our tests are not immediate.
That's what I was gonna ask, so you anticipate the immediacy issue, okay. That's something that you would want to be ordered, if she were to do breast milk, that she do a test immediately before?
She could, yes.
Okay. Right now, you're requesting suspending the breast milk until we can test the milk, is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
My understanding is that mother filed a PPO against father, ex parte, that was granted, correct?
I'm not aware of that.
Anybody counseled through your agency, the mother, or demanded that she file a PPO against father?
It wasn't demanded. We did ask that she get a PPO, and I believe that her lawyer stated that that was recommended as well.
So she didn't advise you that it had been obtained, right?
No.
Okay. I guess you'll have to navigate the case service plan with the PPO regarding what it says my father can and cannot do, correct?
Yeah, they do have separate case service plans just because of the history of domestic violence. So there are no services, not even parenting time, that they're doing together.
But so there is no case service plans for one parent getting the child or the other parent getting the child back, but not co-parenting. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes.
Psychological evaluation is scheduled, is it?
It's not scheduled yet. No, I'm doing the referral today.
So what would be the priority for my client under the case service plan, so he kind of knows where you should focus his priorities?
Definitely the domestic violence, just because of the history there. And also, I know that he's working on getting employment, and if I understand correctly, he's waiting for 2 different job offers to come back to him or hear about them, and just maintaining his sobriety.
Now, you will give parents an opportunity to come to doctor's appointments, correct?
Yes, separately.
That's just what I was going to ask. And is that going to be one parent one time, the next parent the other time, or one parent virtually and one parent in person? If there is a PPO, how, I guess you'll look into that and afford both the opportunity, or?
I can look into that, but I did tell them that, like, mom went today and dad was invited to the one in October. But they can call the doctor and ask questions if they have them, or they can let me know and I can absolutely ask the doctor those questions, but they will be separate.
Your Honor, I will have a couple follow-ups when the time is appropriate.
Thank you.
My client's advising me that mother has told him that her expectations are that they would reunite sometime down the road. Are you aware of that?
No.
If that is the case, I guess would we perhaps down the road work into at least co-parenting plan?
My concern with that is just the long history of domestic violence that they do have. But dad has told me that he's adamant that they have a case service plan together.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Heiss, any questions?
Just briefly, one of the issues in the case is alcohol for dad, right?
Yes.
LDC doesn't screen for alcohol, right?
They do, yes.
Is that a separate test than the urine screen?
No, that's, the same I did ask them and they said it's the same. I'll get results for that and drugs at the same time. They don't do mouth swabs though.
So we'll get an instant test for alcohol at LDC.
Yes.
Okay, and then it's important that we explore relatives in the first 30 days of a placement of a child. What has been done to explore relatives for placement?
My supervisor did speak with Dakota's mom, Christina, and she is still saying that she does not want to be considered for placement just because she thinks it would be too much. Mom did give me 2 names. One is her mom and one is the paternal grandmother of her oldest child, I believe. And I have contact with them both and they said that they are interested in being assessed, so I did get their clearance forms and hopefully their clearances will be run today and then we can go from there.
There is a paternal aunt. Did you know if anybody checked with Cheryl Hamblin?
I believe that CPS had checked with them and their housing was not appropriate.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Ms. Berger, you had, well, let me go back. Do you want to do any redirect before I ask for recross?
No, Your Honor, I have nothing further.
Okay, Ms. Berger.
Thank you, Your Honor. I am starting a screen share. Let's see. Can you read this from where you're at in the witness stand?
No, sorry.
Okay. It's a little blurry, but it's from Lenawee Development Corporation. It states, to whom it may concern, Caitlin Estes performed a 13-panel drug screen today, September 9th, 2024, and was negative for all drugs tested. And that's signed by Michelle Bouvier, the program director. Have you been in receipt of this yet?
No, I have not.
Okay. If this is accurate, and I would state that it is, would you still object to mom being able to breastfeed?
For this parenting time, this week's parenting time, or just in general?
Both.
I would still like to have her screen. I know for THC goes back 30 days, I believe, but I would still like to have her screen just to make sure that we are not going against the pediatrician's recommendations.
Sure. So as for right now, we have a negative screen. So would you object to her being able to breastfeed right now?
I would like her to screen again on Wednesday before her visit.
Okay. And when would that result be in?
It should be in immediately after she takes it.
Got it. Okay. So as long as she continues to provide negative screens before her visits, then your position is that she would be able to continue to breastfeed. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. No other questions, Johnny.
Okay, Mr. McFarland?
Just a follow-up on that question. If she brings her own milk, you would have no way of knowing if that milk was produced while she was under THC or not, correct? Until you test it.
Correct.
So would only allow her to breastfeed if she tested negative, correct?
Yes.
And are you also aware that my client is blowing breathalyzers, PBTs every day through his probation?
He did tell me, I think 3 times a week.
Did you sign a release so you could talk to his probation officer to verify the everyday?
Yes, he signed one with his probation officer and I have had contact with her.
Just one bookkeeping matter. Are you also sending copies to PDO.probate of your reports?
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Ms. Heiss, any other questions?
Nothing further. Thank you.
Any other? Well, thank you for your testimony. We return to your seat. Any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland?
My client has some concerns he'd like to testify to, Your Honor.
Very well. Come on up, Mr. Hamlin.
Raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. Sure.
You had some concerns that you wanted to tell the court, correct? correct?
Yes.
What are those?
I am concerned that during this time, I do believe that we should be working violence as in going to counseling. Because the hope is that afterwards that we will be able to co-parent and reunite. From what I've been told, it sounds like Caitlin was pushed into doing this PPO.
Well, you heard them say that that's what they wanted her to do, right?
Yeah, also by her advocate from the shelter. And if she doesn't, then they're gonna terminate her rights to the baby. And to me, that I just
Jenner,
don't
I'm going to
understand.
object. I don't believe there's been any contact between the parties, so I don't know how he would have any reason to know any of this information. So I'm thinking that it's speculation.
She can cross. We'll find out.
We do.
Hang on a second, I have to make a decision on whether or not. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely hearsay and it's hearsay that we have no idea where it came from, so the value of it is nominal, even though it is technically admissible. So I'm gonna overrule the objection, but allow that instruction. Come on.
Okay, proceed.
So-
Eventually, if this case
Yes.
closes with you reunification, you're both gonna have to have something either through the front of the court.
Right, I feel at this point in time that we're getting pit against each other and we do have contact and it's under, my understanding is that afterwards we're gonna be able to reunite and parent this child together, but
So when's the last time mother's contacted you?
today.
And did she express to you that she would like you to co-parent sometime down the road?
Yeah, that's the consensus that we came to. We're just trying to get through this.
Okay.
But I do believe that there is domestic violence concerns and like I acknowledge that, and I think that we should take advantage of the services that the department's offering, and we should be doing counseling together, because that's what's ultimately going to minimize the risk later down the road. So
Work girl, and you take PBTs how many times a week?
I PPT every day.
You agree that would also normalize the risk, right?
Yeah.
And there's gonna be a psychological evaluation scheduled, and you want to have that as soon as possible. Right?
Yep.
Any other, did you get a copy of that PPO? Has that been served on you yet?
I have not been served.
Okay,
I've not been served.
so you have no idea what it might contain. How do you know that there was one issued?
She sent me pictures of the PPO.
Okay, got it. We covered your concerns today.
Yes, I believe so.
Thanks. Nothing further. We'll see if anybody else has questions.
Ms. Thomas,
I have none, Your Honor.
Ms. Berger,
Thank you. Mr. Hamblin, you received copies of the PPO today, is that right?
I have not received copies. I saw pictures of the PPO.
Okay, and you understand that that means that you're not to have any contact with her, right?
Your Honor, I object without seeing that. I don't know what's in there. It may be, they're to behave civilly, so.
all right, Mr. McFarland, you're welcome to cross-examine your client, so we can have further clarification on that PPO conditions, but I'm gonna have to overrule the objection.
Then I would also then perhaps advise that he might want to be advised he has perhaps a Fifth Amendment right, as PPOs are semi-criminal in nature. So
You may want to articulate a little bit more about what that means for him.
that if he violates a PPO, the punishment could be a possibility of jail. So,
Yes, Mr. Hamlin, if you admit under oath today that you are in contact with Ms. Kalen Estes, affirmative may be considered a violation of the personal protection order and could subject you to court proceedings. So please understand, you do have a right to remain silent on whether or not you violated that personal protection order. That's what Mr. McFarland, I think, is getting at. Is that right, Mr. McFarland?
yes, although I understand he's not been served, so
I
I am advising about that, yes, sir.
okay. I don't understand. I mean, I need to see the, which it looks like it's on the screen.
I can't really read that from here.
Okay, Ms. Berger, I'm gonna ask you to try to follow the rules of evidence a little more closely. Any documents that you wish to produce for purposes of admission or even demonstration need to be circulated to your fellow council members or your fellow attorneys, as well as to the bench, so that we can really understand what's happening and allow for any objections that need to happen.
Yes,
Not to
sir.
say, yes, so if you
I
could please
just
stop
got
your screen.
Yes, there we go. Perfect.
Thank you.
I don't have any other questions.
Okay, Ms. Heiss?
Mr. Hamlin, when there is a personal protection order, if it were served on you, do you intend to stop communication?
Yeah,
What supports would you need? It seems like that'd be a big change for your family, for your relationship. What supports would you need to make that happen?
I'm not sure if I need any support, like to just stop talking to her or no
Yes.
contact. I don't really, I mean, it's pretty much what we've been doing, so.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Great. Any redirect?
No, thank you.
Any recross?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. We return to your seat. Anyone else, Mr. McFarland?
Mother, please.
All right, Deputy Ames, if you could swear in Ms. Caitlin Estes.
Estes, please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes,
Ma'am, is it your hope that sometime down the road, you and father would be able to co-parent?
I can't hear you. I'm sorry, you're
Is
cutting
it-
out.
Okay, is it true that your expectation is sometime down the road, you and father will be able to co-parent? Is that correct?
It was discussed.
As a matter of fact, you reached out to him this morning to discuss that with him, right? Or your
No,
own. So you're saying that he's not telling the truth, that you didn't reach out to him? If we were to subpoena your phone records?
I talked to him about Jasper's visit. We didn't discuss reunifying.
Okay, fair enough. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Thomas, any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Berger?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Heiss?
No questions. Thank you.
All right,
Nothing further.
anyone you'd like us to hear from, Ms. Berger?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Ms. Heiss?
No witnesses today. Thank you.
Good, comments in closing then?
Your Honor, we are asking the court to adopt the case service plan as provided today in the court report. I think that I think it's a little early on to really go full force into planning as a couple. I think that the case service plan as written today, with focusing on individual needs, understanding the cycle of domestic violence, and working with a professional in that manner, moving forward, we can always take heed to that professional's recommendations and see how the couple transpires, if they're able to maintain no contact from a PPO, listen to court directives. Again, we've been here before. The couple has received therapy as a couple in the past, and we are back here again. So I think that taking a pause on that and just allowing them to sort of become integrated with their case service plan and working on those individual issues is most appropriate at this time. So we are just asking that we are not ordered to provide that couples therapy at this point in time. And with that, we're just asking for a standard 90-day review. Thank you.
So before I let you go, it looks like we were looking for an affidavit of parentage or something else to establish paternity.
I don't think we have that yet, Your Honor. It might take a couple weeks to get it from the state.
Okay, so what that means then is we probably should just adjourn today's initial disposition, understanding that the two here are more than welcome to get started on your services voluntarily, and I can still set our next review hearing. But for purposes of concluding the initial disposition, we need to know whether or not Mr. Hamlin is the legal father of this child. So I have some time available
You're talking about continuation of this hearing, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay.
Your Honor, would that be for both parents or just for father?
That would be actually, that's a good point, Ms. Berger. We could conclude with regard to your client.
Perfect, thank you.
Do you have comments?
Yes. Judge, we are asking that the case service plan be adopted. My client at this time is not asking for joint counseling or to plan together with Mr. Hamblin. She understands that at this point, she is going to be planning individually and working on her services on her own. And hopefully, getting that distance will be beneficial to her. So we are asking for a review in 90 days. And I'm also asking that she be allowed to continue with breastfeeding. We have a clean screen this week, and she's not objectionable to screening before her visits weekly to make sure that that's, stays that way. So she is able to provide that for her child. Thank you.
Ms. Heiss, understanding we're going to be moving forward with Ms. Estes, but we have to wait on Mr. Hamblin. I look forward to any comments you have on that, as well as any closing comments.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, I agree to have Mr. Hamlin's disposition adjourned so that we can have the AOP. Regarding the mother, I would ask you to consider that I think direct breast milk with a clean screen immediately before, we still don't know what happened between the screen. And I just think we need a protocol, especially if she's going to bring milk in a bottle for the dad to feed. I need to know, have cooperation. Was it refrigerated? When was it pumped? Was she clean when it pumped? I just think we need a protocol, and I'm open to a family team meeting anytime people can get together for those reassurances. But until then, I would ask you to the formula is providing him with the weight gain that he needs, and so to prevent the breast milk. Relatives have been explored. It's very important to get that done early in the case because they won't have preference later. I'd ask you to consider that, if anybody could motivate these parents, and I know we're talking about mom right now, and we've tried everything. I've tried being harsh. I've tried being nice. I really would like to motivate them. This domestic violence has been a long-standing issue, and it's not an easy issue, but this is years. This is the 8th child, and we've been trying to help this family. I don't know how to motivate them. So anyway, I just want to say that if they can make the change, they need to motivate and do it now. So that concludes my closing on mom's disposition.
I do have a brief comment.
Okay.
I would ask that when the psychological evaluations are completed, if they could be shared with clients and their counsel as soon as possible, Your Honor, as well as when the ACPC documents are produced, if we could see a copy of those sooner rather than later. Thank you.
For your client or for Ms. Estes?
For my client, so his
Well, he should have access to his own documents directly after each of his appointments. No?
We were talking about the psychological evaluation, Your Honor.
For the psychological evaluation, that's a different issue.
I think the testimony was she's obtaining some past ACPC records. When those are obtained, I'd like to see what those are as well as my client.
Ms. Delagarza, does that bother you to produce them to the attorneys early before your regular court report and exhibits would be expected?
No, I can do that.
All right.
Nothing further.
Okay, all right. Well, I think technically the term for Dakota Hamblin's hearing is it's continued because we've basically concluded it. All of the substantive pieces and parts, according to anyone who listens, we had noticed for purposes of today, as did Ms. Estes. We just need that piece that establishes that he is in fact the parent. So we're going to be continuing the initial disposition of Dakota Hamblin. I'd like to offer to the parties October 4th at 11 a.m. Understanding Ms. Estes would not have to appear, nor Ms. Berger. Okay.
Wait, Your Honor, I'm sorry. You said Friday, October 4th?
Yes.
I have an appointment right in at 12:30.
Okay. So if I get the initial, or if I get the affidavit of parentage before that,
Just file it in motion to,
even a petition in order would be acceptable to conclude it since we've got all the proofs. What do you think?
I would stipulate even to that, Your Honor. I mean, that's all we're waiting for is the affidavit to prove that he's the legal father.
Ms. Heiss, what are your thoughts on that?
I agree that the books more efficiently than a hearing.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I'll look forward to reviewing that as soon as it's available to me. But in the meantime, we'll schedule just in case, yes.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, my client whispered to me that he has some concerns about fraternity. He would like to have fraternity testing done.
Oh, that's exciting, considering that he wants to enter into a case service plan as well. But what do you think, Ms. Thomas?
Your Honor, if you order us to perform DNA, then we will oblige.
All right, so here's how that technically works. If the AOP is already signed and filed at the state level, then you are the legal father. We can still ask the department as simply as a courtesy to do that DNA testing. But if it is already done at the state level, then you will be considered the legal father. Is that, do you understand? Okay. So I don't think that changes anything as far as our proceedings go today. In the event that DNA testing obviously produces some other different outcome, then we'll tackle that if it arises. Ms. Heiss, any thoughts on that?
No, I didn't do the closing for Dad's dispo, but I don't have anything to add so that we could close it pending the AOP.
Okay, thank you. All right, the court finds all interested parties are given notice for purposes of today's initial disposition hearing. I've already addressed what's going to be happening with Mr. Dakota Hamblin. I will add into the order that the department is ordered to accommodate the DNA testing as requested by Mr. Hamlin. But again, if they are able to produce the AOP establishing legal parentage, that will not stand in the way of the court issuing its initial disposition order, which is in part adopting also the case services plan. So today's order will encompass both the continuation, but also the case services plan as it relates to Caitlin Estes specifically. That will become the order of the court. Mr. Dakota Hamlin, of course, will have access to services on a voluntary basis. I have reviewed both case services plans. They do appear to appropriately target the challenges that this family faces, both current and past, which do appear to continue to be an issue. The complications around their relationship continue to be in place, which is not encouraging, frankly, for how things will be going in the next review period. And I also want to remind both parents that this was a case where the attorneys stipulated essentially to allowing a case services plan for a 6-month period of time, such that efforts to remedy the longstanding patterns in your relationship are expected to be, frankly, fierce. And I'm not seeing that. So I look forward to seeing that in the next report period, but I do want to acknowledge that I do see that both parents are sober at this time, demonstrated by the probation department's standards and structure for Mr. Hamlin, as well as Ms. Estes' drug test. I also have some concerns about the breast milk and the longstanding THC use. So I'd like to see at least, I don't know, a couple of weeks of drug tests that continue to be negative for marijuana. And if you want to store those breast milk experiences, then you can do that, understanding that if you continue to test negative for THC, that will be available to you in the future, as well as the milk that is produced and stored to the child. And then if Ms. De La Garza is able to find a way to test that, and Ms. Heiss is able to find a way to verify that it's been stored and provided safely, then of course I'm always happy to visit that. But for now, I will suspend the opportunity for Ms. Estes to provide that breast milk to the child until she's established at least 2 to 3 weeks of sobriety. And of course, even then at the discretion of Ms. De La Garza. Any questions about that? Okay. All right. Thank you. And thank you for your efforts in doing that. We do know that that is a great way to support your child. I appreciate you taking the effort to demonstrate your sobriety for a period of time in order to continue to provide that for your child. The child is removed from both parents. That is placed at this time. It is the safest and least restrictive measures under the circumstances, given the continuation of the demonstration of the dynamics of the relationship, frankly, but also that we're at the very outset of both parents providing a timeframe of sobriety and engagement into their services. So I look forward to the updates, which will also be a permanent planning hearing on December 9th at 2:30. So December 9th at 2:30 for the review and permanency planning hearing. And of course, father's disposition continue to 9/4/11 unless I see something otherwise report.